Thank you. Yeah, Gert-Jan and me will talk you through how we try to connect the Dutch Pure community at, well, what we call the Pure Validator Workshop. We will do that by first briefly explaining a little bit what Pure is in the Netherlands, of how many institutions are using it, how big our community actually is, and then how we actually got to organizing a validator workshop. So what are our reasons for doing so? And Gert-Jan will also explain how the organization itself went. And I thought it was also important to show you a bit of the content that we actually discussed during the workshops, just to make it a little bit more practical, that you can think, oh, that's what they're discussing there. That might be useful for me as well. And at the end, we will have some outcomes and conclusions. We will do the presentation together, so you can see how we've divided it. To start with Pure in the Netherlands, we have a very large Pure community in the Netherlands. We have 14 universities, and 12 of them are using Pure as their research information system. But next to universities, we also have the Royal Netherlands Academy of Arts and Sciences, we have universities of applied science, we have medical centers, and we have other institutions that are also using Pure. So we have a very large community of Pure users in the Netherlands. If we're looking at how much output do we have, and for this I checked OpenAir just to see how many publications the Netherlands publishes every year. Well, this is around 100,000 publications on average. You can imagine that every one of those publications is at least entered into one Pure, but more realistically, these are entered into multiple Pures in the Netherlands because of a lot of collaboration that happens. Well, probably like any other nation here, we have our own Pure user group that meets 4 times a year in our case. These are more like the Pure admins and the Pure coordinators who talk more about more high-level subjects like audits or contracts or bugs and releases, but not so much the actual workflow of Pure. And that's why we decided at some point, okay, we need to organize another kind of meeting where not only the administrators and the coordinators come, but more the people, the editors and the people who do the work in Pure. And then I will give the word to Gert-Jan, who is going to explain why we needed a validator workshop.
Thank you, Robin. I will just make sure that everyone can hear me. Tall giant as usual. I promise I'm friendly. As Robin just discussed with you, the Dutch Pure community is very extensive, and only a part of the community is truly represented in these Pure user group meetings. So we needed to provide everyone else a space to meet as well, and that's where the Pure Validator Workshop comes in. So before I go any further, I will define what a validator is in this case, because this is basically a catch-all term in this case for anyone within a Pure team at a university who works within the editor or validator role. And these people don't tend to meet outside of their own universities. And this is a great shame because we obviously are very capable of learning from each other through our practical knowledge. So that is really the reason why we started the Pure Validator Workshop, in order to create a space for exchange for this group. And on top of that, this is also a group of people that tend not to have a lot of face-to-face contact with Elsevier. And they have been very kind to accept our invitation every time to have someone of their team represented. So this basically is a win-win situation for both Elsevier and for the staff teams in order to basically get direct input on the side of Elsevier from practical users, and for practical users to get more updates on the policy that is being shaped at Elsevier surrounding Pure. So that is basically the goal that we set out. So what goes into hosting this event now, and when and where does it take place? So it has become a tradition now to have this event held in September. It has happened twice in the current format, 2 out of 2, so that's a tradition. And it is typically held at a host university. So September was chosen basically because it is still free from the major spikes that we experience of activity within Pure between December and February and at the end of the academic year. And it's also the perfect opportunity to make use of the in-between space between summer recess and full meeting schedules in late September and October. So that's why we ended up with the second week after the academic year comes back. And we would be nowhere without visitors, but we would also absolutely be nowhere without an organizing team, which is made up right now of about 5 members. And they basically volunteer. They do this as part of their work schedule, which we are very thankful for, of course, with all these busy schedules. But joining this team is very low threshold. We poll validators every year at the end of the event to make sure that to extend the invitation, basically, to become part of this team. We meet about 4 to 5 times a year over Teams. And in our first meeting, it basically becomes very important to establish where we are going to host it. And generally, that tends to be a university within this organization team, mostly for ease of communication. But again, it hasn't happened that many times, so we're still open as well for every other university to also become a host university. And then in collaboration with the chair of this group, the host university and the chair make sure that the halls are booked, make sure that the facilities for the day are set in stone. So we tend to make use of our own facilities in this case and our own locations. Because this is very cost effective, because generally that means that costs are no more than just catering, and it means that we can offer the event to be held for free. So once we have the host university and the date, then we my apologies, I don't click often enough. Once we have this all set in place, basically, we send the sign-up form and we finalize the program in June, just in time before summer recess, which is very important. And now for a very important part, and that is the program. So typically the day is set up in such a way that we have parallel sessions in the morning, 4 in total and 2 simultaneously. And that has been actually also a main criticism of our validators because they have major fear of missing out, which I consider to be a huge compliment. But still, it creates their freedom to choose their own program in the morning. And then in the afternoon, we have a plenary session with a discussion and with a presentation by Elsevier. Let's see. And the main goal for building this program is to maximize the success of this program is that every time that the event has taken place, we immediately send out feedback and the validators can immediately tell us what themes they were missing, or what themes that they really want some more information on. And this feedback post-event we immediately put into the program for the year after. And then based on our connections within the organization committee, we find speakers, but also during sign-up, we have a running campaign to basically gauge interest on whether any of the potential guests also want to come to speak. And one speaker of, I think, 6 were actually found during the sign-up process. And then when we have our program, it is time for me to give the floor back to Robin to actually tell you how these events took place.
Yeah, thank you. What I want to do is just quickly run you through some of the subjects and things that we have talked about during these workshops and the presentations that were given. Of course, not in too much detail because there's no time, just a quick overview. So I divided this basically in 4 parts. So we have discussed a lot about how do you fill Pure and how do you check data quality. The report module is of course a very hot topic. But we also talk about other things like activities or non-textual research output, also data sets, basically all of the types within Pure. And every year we have also had an Elsevier presentation. So if we look at how to fill Pure, and as pictures, I basically put the title PowerPoint slides of the presentations that were given there, is that we see that within the Netherlands there is a different way of how people approach how to fill Pure. My institution does it manually. We import one by one with a high degree of data quality because we check everything. Other universities have a more automatic approach. They just import it into Pure and have maybe a bit less focus on the data quality. During these presentations, people just show their workflows, show how they work, show what the result is. Well, the same goes for data quality. There's a lot of ways to check data quality. We do it with the reporting module just to find mistakes within Pure and to correct them. What we see in the Netherlands is that the data that is in Pure is being used more and more during the years. So we also see the data quality is really important because, yeah, as we all know, garbage in is garbage out. So we really need to make sure that the quality in Pure is okay. And by just learning from each other how everyone does their own data quality checks, we can just basically copy each other with this. Well, lastly, here, how do we deal with open access and PDFs? In my presentation yesterday, I already mentioned that in the Netherlands we have a copyright law that allows us to open up publications if they are funded by public money within Pure after a period of 6 months. This happens in Pure. And in the Netherlands, we see that there are basically 2 ways of thinking. We have one way that is an opt-in system where a researcher can go to a library and say, I want to use the copyright law to make my publications open. Then the library does that. And on the other hand, we have an opt-out system where the library just makes everything open. And if the researcher doesn't want it, they come to the library and tell them, okay, please don't do this for my publications. So we had some nice discussions about this, and there is a really clear difference in what the results are. Well, the reporting module, as you can imagine, we have talked a lot about the old report module and the new report module, and especially how you can get the reports from the old one into the new. Not everything that the old report module can do can be done in the new one and the other way around. So we have had a lot of just example reports and how people use it. There have been also some issues with the report module, and well, the way that I always explain it is that it is not really as logical as I would have liked it to be. So I have made mistakes within the report module, and I've showcased them to the group as well, and just to hope that they don't repeat my mistakes and just learn how the report module should be used. Well, for the other things that we have, like activities, in the Netherlands, almost all universities are now trying to create a flow chart. There were already some universities that already had a flow chart. Last year in Valencia at a Pure conference, there was also a very nice presentation about someone who created flowcharts for how to add activities into Pure. That presentation inspired me, so we have also, my colleagues also made a very nice flowchart, so we showcased that as well in the workshop. Well, and we briefly discussed other types of output, like how do you deal with software, how do you enter maybe websites into Pure and the non-textual type, how do you deal with data sets, with data monitor or data site, how does it work in Pure, what data do you get and how do you deal with them? Well, there's a lot to say about that. Well, and we have also had Elsevier presentations. I see that there's a little typo in the second line. That should be 2024 and 25, but in 2023, we were invited by Elsevier to basically do this kind of workshop the first time, and we called it different back then, but we were joined there by the Pure UX team, who basically showed their new user interface to us and the new layout, which was very nice. And last year and this year, we had a presentation by Thomas Gurney about data quality in Pure and the Pure roadmap, which is also always interesting. Well, if we then look at what kind of outcomes do we have from this workshop, well, we have really improved the workflows of our Pure teams, and we have a lot more collaboration. There's a lot more collaboration between the different institutions. They're sharing how they work, they're sharing their manuals, they're sharing their work, their flowcharts, basically anything that they have. It's really important that we meet other people who work within Pure. We basically all do the same kind of work within the system, and it is just very nice to finally meet each other and talk about that. There's also feedback for Elsevier. No, you probably can't read it, but at the last workshop we had 2 slides up on which the one side you could write down things that are going well within Pure, and on the other side you could write down things that are maybe a bit of a challenge. But this is also just very direct feedback to Elsevier from the people who are really working inside of Pure, and we hope that it is useful for them. And with that, for the conclusion, I'll leave to Gerjan on why you should organize this.
Thank you. I will make sure to actually click this time. In case you're not doing this yet for your local community, here are some reasons why you would want to do it. So first of all, it'll connect you to people that you otherwise would not have met, who can provide you with some amazing insights. You can expand your network beyond just Pure administrators and really with the practical users of the system. If you're in the organizing team, you're fostering the community even more than you already were. It is a very low-cost financial investment, but it has a very high intellectual payoff. And most of all, it is very fun and rewarding, as you can see on the smiles of these people's faces.